Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the last lecture we had started and we had seen something about a major kind of natural renewable resource, and that natural renewable resource was called as forest resource. Similarly, we had seen something about what forest resource means, what are the uses of forest resource, how forest resource is beneficial to the human and nature in turn. Today we are going to look forward for one of the major concepts regarding the forest resources, and this concept is called as deforestation. Let me tell you friends that this is one of the major cause of environmental change. Henceforth we are studying it in a very detailed type and with reference to some of the examples which is being put forward before us. For example, if we go for the deforestation, we only know the concept that deforestation is cutting down of the trees. But do we always have that much sense of idea clear when we talk about the deforestation? I mean, do we have the clear idea how much was the coverage of the land area of forest, especially when we talk something about with regards to our country, that is India? Or do we know what are the causes of this deforestation? Do we know how do you control the deforestation? It is impossible when we go and talk about one single unit because we do not think in that point of view. But today we are going to try and think from all these point of views. For example, we will start with a major part, that is what is the meaning of deforestation actually. So you people know it, but we will try to understand it in depth. Second thing which we are going to see is what are the causes of deforestation. So we had made some points very much clear in the forest resources unit itself that some causes of deforestation are economy, and that could be one major cause. Next we will see how to control the deforestation. One very major effect which we are going to study in this deforestation part is what is the function and benefits of the forest and its resources. Because when we call for the deforestation, it means we are cutting down the trees. So we have to keep in mind that you should always look forward not only for the resources which are being used, but you should also look forward for these resources in such a point of view that it will be beneficial to the human, it will be beneficial to the environment and other living organism also. So that would be the major part for our discussion. Let's start with the very first question which arises before us, that is called as deforestation. So what is the meaning of deforestation? So it is very easy to understand deforestation. That means some kind of cutting down of trees by the human. Okay, that is called as deforestation. So that is only part which we keep in mind. But is that simple that we are going and cutting down the trees using for the commercial purposes or using for that cosmetic purposes or using for that industrial purposes? Not that easy. Rather, we would say that cutting down of the trees to a larger scale. That means we are cutting down the trees senselessly, recklessly. We are not thinking about it that if we are cutting down one tree, it took place many years to grow for that tree in that particular environment. It took that tree to get habitual to that environment, right? So that is called as something which needs an environment, fruitful environment, which we do not think about it. And what we do, we usually cut down the trees recklessly. We cut down the trees on a very large scale without thinking that this particular tree had its own capacity, had its own commercial area of growth, had its own time of zone for the development, and within a single cut it's gone. सो डिफॉरेस्टेशन का बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंस होता है हमारी एनवायरनमेंट को कंट्रोल करने के लिए. हमारी एनवायरनमेंट कंट्रोल कब होगी? जब हम डिफॉरेस्टेशन को कम कर देंगे. एनवायरनमेंट अपने आप कंट्रोल में आ जाएगी, हमारा ग्लोबल वार्मिंग अपने आप कंट्रोल में आ जाएगा, एसिड रेन कम हो जाएंगे. इतना ही नहीं बल्कि हम और ज़्यादा प्योर काइंड ऑफ ऑक्सीजन या फिर मिनरल्स ले पाएंगे. सो इट ऑल हैपन्स जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ वन प्लांट, and if you don't cut that plant it will of course help you to regrow. So that is something about deforestation. You should always also keep in mind when we talk something about the deforestation from the point of view of India. Okay, so it is not very clear that how and when did it actually started to cover up the area of study for the deforestation part. But it is very much clear that is in 1980s, around in 1980s, the government of India had given that around 22.7% of landmass area of India is covered by the forest area. सो इट वॉज गुड ओवर देयर. दैट मीन्स हमारे पास अभी भी 22.7% हमने डेवलपमेंट या फिर फॉरेस्ट लैंड एरिया हमने कवर किया था. But later on, what they found that this part area should be actually 33%. That means it is actually an evaluation which is done according to the land area, and this land areas differ. So you can't say that this is the particular number which should be applicable for each and every country. Okay, so this is the only area number which is applicable for India. That is, India should have a 33% of land area covered with the forest area. And in 1980s, they found that it is 22.7%. So it was good. But all of a suddenly, the surveys in the recent contradictory showed that it is something about 12%. That means हमने rather इसे बढ़ाने की जगह कट डाउन करके सिर्फ 12% पे लाके रख दिया था. And how do you protect our nature now? It is a big question. And that is when major part of deforestation. Why it is being discussed very widely about the deforestation is because of this part. जहाँ पे हमने 33% लाना चाहिए था या फिर उससे ज़्यादा भी हम कर सकते थे, we have rather reutilized and utilized such a kind of forest area or land, that kind of grassland areas, that it has degraded itself. अभी वहाँ पे पूरा barren land area हो गया. So barren land area you can understand from this photograph. That is, this is called as barren land area. So barren land area तैयार हो चुका है जहाँ पे plantation अभी नहीं आ पाएगा. Of course, one can imagine that if there is no plantation, there is no water. If there is no water, human existence or organism existence is impossible. But we do not think that beyond, and rather we only cut down the trees. So what are the causes of deforestation then? First area is desertification. So अभी मैंने बोला था it is conversion into a barren land area. So desertification का मतलब होता है पूरी land area खराब हो जाना, and there is lack of moisture, there is lack of water holding capacity, due to which their area becomes or converts itself into a desert. Okay, so that is called as desertification. सॉइल बहुत खराब हो जाती है डिफॉरेस्टेशन की वजह से, सॉइल इरोजन हो जाता है. नेक्स्ट वन, क्लाइमेट चेंज, कंडीशन चेंज, एनवायरमेंट पोल्यूशन हो जाता है, इकोसिस्टम डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आपको याद रखना होगा कि देयर इज अ लॉस ऑफ वेजिटेशन विच इज देयर इन riparian एरिया. So we have seen in the very first part, what do you call as riparian area? So riparian area, if you remember, if you check out for this photograph, you can find that this could be called as a riparian area. But I have shown this as because of deforestation, riparian area क्या हो चुका है मैंने ये दिखाने का कोशिश किया है. बट एक्चुअली यू कैन इमेजिन दैट रिपेयरिंग एरिया इज समथिंग वेयर अ बैंक रिवर एंड अ लैंड एरिया इज मीटिंग, एंड व्हेन दिस पार्ट इज मीटिंग दैट मीन्स इट शुड हैव अ वेरी यूनिक काइंड ऑफ वेजिटेशन. काफ़ी अलग काइंड का वेजिटेशन होता है यहाँ पे जो ग्रास मिलती है या फिर यहाँ पे जो श्रब्स मिलते हैं, प्लांट्स मिलते हैं, हर्ब्स मिलते हैं. For that case, in some parts of, if you go for the southern parts, you can find there are beautiful kind of flowering areas also जो हमारे western घाट्स में भी मिलते हैं. So यहाँ पे क्या होता है, because of deforestation ये land पूरे तरह से barren हो जाएगा. That means water holding capacity, even though the water is running from the side, but it is polluted because रीजन इज यहाँ पे पेड़ ही नहीं है तो वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी कम हो रही है. सो द वाटर इज ओनली ट्राइंग टू रन ऑफ फ्रॉम द एरिया. सो दैट इज अ पार्ट. अगर वहाँ पे पेड़ होते हैं, अगर यहाँ इस लैंड में पेड़ होंगे, इस लैंड में हर्ब श्रब्स ग्रो होना शुरू हो जाएगा, तो ऑफकोर्स इट विल हैव अ वेरी गुड काइंड ऑफ वेजिटेशन. बट हमने क्या किया है, वी हैव कट डाउन द ट्रीज, डिफॉरेस्ट हो चुका है, और डिफॉरेस्टेशन की वजह से जो एक्सोटिक प्लांट्स है, जो यूनिक काइंड ऑफ प्लांट्स है, जो कहीं पे नहीं देखने मिलेंगे, ये सारे प्लांट्स को हमने कट डाउन करके एक ऐसा लैंड एरिया कन्वर्ट कर दिया है जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ दलदल के फॉर्म में भी हमें दिखाई पड़ेगा. तो दैट इज नथिंग एल्स बट अ पोल्यूटेड लैंड एरिया. कैन वी कंट्रोल द डिफॉरेस्टेशन? द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. And the answer from my side is yes, of course. You can control the part of deforestation. There are very simple methods to control the deforestation actually. Only planting trees, that is called as afforestation or reforestation, is not a part of deforestation. But you can control it by very different methods. For example, आप मैंने जैसे पहले लेक्चर में कहा था that human are creating that means cultivating a agricultural land area in the forest land area. Why do you have to convert this forest area into an agricultural area? There is no such question. Rather, you should keep the forest land area as it is, agricultural land area as it is. Why do you want to convert one area into another area? So humans should settle down in particular area itself rather than settling down into the forest area. So you have very good houses, you be over there. Why do you want to go inside a wildlife sanctuary? You're not an animal to go into a wildlife sanctuary or any such kind of national park. Be a visitor, visit there, but do not harm. That is one part. Next one, try to check how much you need your agricultural products. That means do not create purposefully the agricultural land area. For example, in many of our country itself, we are cutting down the trees nearby which is coming on to the land area of agriculture, and we are taking that particular forest land area into the agricultural land area, and that is very wrong. So you have to think about it कि आप agricultural land area को agriculture ही रखो, forest land area को agriculture में convert नहीं करना है. Similarly, आपको कुछ rules होने चाहिए. There are rules. If I tell you that there are forest rules, we have got some rules in Indian Penal Code, and we'll be discussing it in coming lectures. So let's not make a point over here. Just keep in mind that we have rules, but we do not follow the rules. So there are prohibitionary act which has been provided for the land areas also. Reason is because there are living organisms, right? So when if someone hurts you, you will of course get angry, and you will of course claim for the some kind of solution. Similarly, the land area does. Similarly, the forest area does. Similarly, the wildlife does. So that is the problem. We should prohibit ourselves going into the land area of forest and converting it into a human kind of society. Do not try to do that. Also, some countries, now for example, let's not take a name, but there are some major political countries which are constructing larger dams, and these larger dams are created on the basis of the area of forest area. Now that is again a different part. Why to create a dam area? I mean, it is true that you should convert some land area into a water reservoir, correct? It is true. But is it compulsory that the forest area should be created and converted into the dam area? It is not that compulsory. You already have a barren land area. Try to convert that barren land area. Because reason is barren land area में आप वैसे भी plantation hardly grow कर सकोगे. तो उस लैंड को हमने यूज करना चाहिए डैम एरिया में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए. रादर व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू, वी आर कटिंग डाउन द ट्रीज, making it barren and then utilizing it for the larger dam areas. Now that is again a wrong part. So that is important point which should be kept in mind. Next point is there should be a limitation for the grazing. जैसे मैंने कहा था हम ये हमारे penal code के action में देखेंगे. There is some kind of limitations which should be there for the grazing areas, and this grazing area that means आप कितने दूर तक अपने भेड़ बकरियों को खिलाने के लिए लेके जाते हो, दैट इज अ लिमिटेशन. रीजन आप लेके जा सकते हो, बट देर आर इट सेल्फ एनिमल और ऑर्गेनिज्म विच आर लिविंग देयर इन द फॉरेस्ट, दे नीड द फूड एरियाज ऑल्सो. सो यू शुड हैव योर लिमिटेशन. लेट द वाइल्ड लाइफ विच इज लिविंग इन द फॉरेस्ट ऑल्सो ग्रेज ओवर देयर. Next part which I said that it will be a very important part, and that is what is the function and benefits of this resource area then. That means we are talking something about very now and then about deforestation, afforestation, reforestation, etc, etc. But then what is the benefit? So always keep in mind that you should have there is a very large benefit of resources called as forest resource. Reason is because it is one of the natural source to protect your wildlife sanctuaries. They protect your wild plants, protect your wild species of animals, organisms, etc, etc. वो एस्थेटिक्स मेंटेन करते हैं. एस्थेटिक इन अ सेंस देर आर टुडे ऑल्सो in India some kind of regions or some kind of areas. You can go with the north southern area especially, where you find the tribal people are living an aesthetic life. That means they do not get much interrupted with the civilized life. They live their life which is they called itself as an aesthetic part. So there is a kind of part which is aestheticism. Also when we talk something about the aesthetic part, that means हम नेचुरल प्लांट या फिर नेचुरल वाइल्ड लाइफ या फिर नेचुरल लिविंग बीइंग जो वहाँ पे फॉरेस्ट में मिल रहे हैं, हम उसके जीन्स को प्रिजर्व कर रहे हैं, ओरिजिनल रख रहे हैं, बिकॉज वी नो एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग ऑन हाइब्रिड, राइट. इफ यू फाइंड फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू गो फॉर अ ग्रेन, आप अगर गेहूं देखो स्पेशली या फिर चावल देखो, गो फॉर अ राइस एंड यूल फाइंड दैट देर आर नंबर ऑफ काइंड ऑफ राइस varieties. Why is it? That means we are trying to create a rice variety which is having good tensile strength, which is long, which is having flavor, which is having good aroma. It's not necessary. Try to keep all the thing which is original in itself. So aesthetic means, that means forest keeps the species genes preserved. So we have to maintain these aesthetic. It is one of the part of watershed protection. दैट मीन्स फ्लड से प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है हमें, लैंडस्लाइड से प्रोटेक्ट करता है हमें. इतना ही नहीं तो एक्चुअली फॉरेस्ट एरिया सबसे ज़्यादा चेक करता है कि सॉइल इरोजन नहीं होना चाहिए. इट इटसेल्फ अगर आप प्लांट्स को उसका स्पेस दे दो तो प्लांट विल प्रोटेक्ट यू, इट विल नॉट एंटर इनटू योर लाइफ. सो दैट इज वन ऑफ द वाटर प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट्स. वो एटमॉस्फेयर को नॉर्मलाइज करता है. जैसे मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कहा था, एटमॉस्फेयर को नॉर्मलाइज करने का अगर कोई काम करता होगा या फिर सबसे अच्छा काम अगर किसी का होगा तो दैट इज नथिंग एल्स बट ऑफ रिलेटेड टू द फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपका कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड और ऑक्सीजन लेवल में है या नहीं ये देखने का काम कौन करेगा? तो फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स. सो इफ देर इज लैक ऑफ फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स देर विल बी मोर कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड लेस ऑक्सीजन एंड देन ह्यूमन एग्जिस्टेंस विल बी delayed. So that is one part. At the same time कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का लेवल मेंटेन करने का काम जो प्लांट ग्रोथ करता है उसके लिए ऑफकोर्स आपको ह्यूज प्लांटेशन चाहिए. जैसे हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में डिस्कस किया था, वाटर साइकिल मेंटेन करना, टेम्परेचर मेंटेन करना, क्लाइमेट कंडीशन मेंटेन करना, रेनफॉल को इन्हांस करना, किसी भी चीज को रिड्यूस एंड रीग्रो करना अगर किसी की कैपेसिटी होती है तो नथिंग एल्स बट अ फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स. Next one is erosion control karna. So this is very common part. So I'll not explain you again and again something about the erosion control part. Next one is fertility. Kitna nutrient hum we blindly cut down the trees in the form for getting the wood, right? For getting the fruits, for getting the flowers, for getting honey, wax, silk, etc., etc. But we do not consider that actually it is controlling the fertility also. अगर सभी प्लांट्स को हम खत्म कर देंगे, where could you get minerals which is there in the soil or which should be available in the soil for you people? It will be not there. So you have to protect the plants to protect your minerals also. So that is one part कि stability आनी चाहिए, fertility आनी चाहिए, maintain होना चाहिए. So that is one part. And the important thing which is very important from the point of view of human is that it is of local use. That means इसका market use काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता है, local use काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता है. For example, local use में we are using the forest resource or by cutting down doing it deforestation in the form of fodder, food for the fishing, hunting process of cattle, sheep, goats, then used for many other kind of furnishing material. For example, roofing, walling, rafters create karna with the help of bamboos. For that area, household purposes के लिए it is very more common that we cut down the trees and we create a deforestation of the land area for just use of that wood for construction and household material in the form of a timber. Then हम silk के लिए deforestation करते हैं. So it is one of the major part. You have to keep in mind the silk production is called as sericulture. Okay, so it is one of the local part. Then apiculture. Apiculture means when we are using honey from the honeybees, honeycombs, that is apiculture. So it again needs a deforestation part also. We are going wild with that part. मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स के लिए भी हम काफ़ी ज़्यादा हद तक प्लांट को काट देते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे अभी मैंने कहा था इट्स चंदन. सो इफ यू वांट टू गेट सम गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ ऑयल extract from the chandan plant, you have to cut. So we are recklessly cutting down it. We are not thinking about it that the plant needed years together to bring it up and saturate an oil. Of course it is meant for the human being, but give its own time. Do not cut down the whole tree. Like I said, you can cut down a branch, you can cut down a bark, let it regrow. Don't cut it or don't let it end its life from the root itself. Let it regrow again. Okay. Again, the market uses maybe some kind of fibers, tannins, gums, fruits, fuel woods, any kind of masala or medicinal plants. For that case, resins, which can provide you very good quality of income. Then go with the toys, sports toys, or any that kind of beauty products, or for that any kind of natural beauty products or natural beauty components which are very more commercial. In that case, for example, soaps, shikikai, Rita, etc. etc. So basically the forest resource has a very good quality of products for you people, but you should have a control on itself. So do not try to convert the whole land area into a deforestation area. Give its own time to regrow and try to limit your utilization in that forest area. Try to control yourself to city only. You, as I said again, the same thing, you are not wildlife animal. Try to live in the city so that the wildlife does not enter in the city. They remain at their own place and you will remain in your own place. And last, I would just say or end up with the very beautiful quote by Albert Einstein, that he said, look deep into the nature and you will understand everything better. So it is very true. If you go deep into the nature, if you try to understand the nature, you will find that everything is very beautiful. Everything is very normal. Everything is very stabilized. And we are just finding out only for money, only for value, only for resources for our utilization rather than looking forward for the nature. So I hope you have understood this nature and you have understood this resource. So looking forward that you should control your habitat only to yourself rather than becoming a wild type, be a human type. Till the next lecture, study hard.